Everyone, hope everything is going well with everyone. And today we have a new guest. Some people may have already subscribed to his YouTube channel, C&T Collectibles, and make sure if you haven't subscribed to him, make sure to do so. But before I introduce him even more, I just wanted to point out that I saw him make intelligent comments over a year ago. I should have subscribed. And then I saw him on Dakota's program. I'm like, okay, this dude is really onto something. He's a really sharp guy. Then I started watching his baseball content. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm definitely going to watch him since I like baseball myself. So Chad, thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate having me on and how you think I'm still like this intelligent guy after seeing me on Dakota's channel. I don't know how that worked out, but
Yeah, exactly. And your comments in general.
Yeah, right. So no, it's yeah, no, I appreciate you having me on here. I'm looking forward to a nice conversation.
Yeah, and I think it's one of the more underrated channels in terms of sports card content
Oh,
out
that's
there.
nice of you to say. Thanks.
All right. Yeah. So I do this with a lot of people that I bring on for the first time. So what got you into the hobby and into sports cards in general, collectibles?
For sure. So it got started in the kind of the mid '80s. I've always really liked baseball and got into cards probably like 85, 86. And then I got my first job when I was 11 years old. I was a caddy at a golf course, and pretty much any money that I made when I was biking back home, I'd stop at the sports card shop and hang out with the guys for a while and buy some whatever Don Mattingly's and Kirby Pucketts I could afford at the time. So I did that for a few years, but then I was out of it for quite a while. So totally unusual story. No one's ever gone this path, where they collect in the '80s and then left for 20 years, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Really unusual. But then it was probably in late or early 2019. My son Tommy, who was on videos with me, came back with a blaster box. Grandma bought him from Target, and we were opening it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I forgot how much fun this is. And so started buying a few few autograph cards for him for Twins players. I'm like, oh, he'll get a kick out of these. And then I just, I'd always been in fantasy sports, especially baseball. And then so I'm like, well, maybe I'll just pick up a few guys that I like in fantasy, Judge and Bellinger and Soto and all that kind of stuff. And then it was all over but the crying at that point. So I was back in. I was back in for sure. So it was a lengthy layoff, but I think that's kind of everybody's story these days,
Yeah, I think a lot of us got back in 2018, 2019. Yep. And the thing is that when I started buying sports cards, I never thought I would see the appreciation that I would in basically 2 years. I thought it'd take a decade for some of these cards to go from maybe $100 to, over $1,000 if the player outperformed.
Right.
So, and I know you're a financial advisor. So how would you describe the past few years? Because this is just
mania. So I like to describe it as, I left one bubble back in 89, 90 and came back just in time for another one. So that was one of the things. It was fairly calm in 2019. Things were orderly. But then you started to really see things start to ramp up at the end of 2019 into 2020. And then things really lost their mind while everyone shut down with nothing else to do. And it was a mania. And so that was one of the things I was pointing out on my channel. It's like, guys, this is fun to watch, but step aside. Watching Mike Trout go from 3,000 to 4,000 to 8,000 to 10,000. I'm like, you want no part of this, but this is fun to see. It ends poorly. Be out of the way. Yeah, these come along once in a while, but you'll just run out of buyers at some point, and it's ugly. So just be careful if you can. So, but yeah, that's a mania phase. We've seen that where people just have this fear of missing out, and they're just going to do whatever they can to get in without thinking. So, and we saw that. It'll be a while before we see it again, I think.
Exactly. So I always talk about the Federal Reserve. And you told me that, hey, my favorite people at the Federal Reserve. So
yeah,
do you
boys.
think my boys at the Federal Reserve?
Right.
So do you think they had any role in I would say pumping up or it made cards?
Would you even say hanky panky? No.
Yeah, hanky panky. Like, do you think? Right. I mean, it's fine if you don't agree with me. I'm just curious since you're a financial advisor.
Right. I think they've had a role in just providing liquidity, excess liquidity, really for the past decade plus. And so, directly in the sports card market, I think it was more of a, people are just, they're sitting at home with nothing to do. You saw, the documentary come out. I mean, really, it was like the first week in February of, I think it was 2020, where things are, or 2021, I guess it was, maybe a year ago, where things just had that ultimate spike, that blow off top type thing. And so the Federal Reserve, they have a role, but I mean, I don't want to let Congress off the hook, because the Federal Reserve, I mean, what can they do? They can buy bonds. Well, how do you issue bonds? By creating deficit spending. And so it's like, this is on Congress at this point. They're using the Federal Reserve as their whipping boy for the most part. But it's Congress and their deficit spending that allows, the Federal Reserve to come in and say, oh, look at all these bonds. We'll just buy them and inject liquidity into the markets or whatever. So it's your Congress critters that are at fault on this one here. Federal Reserve, their hands are relatively tied on what they can do. But they sure encourage it. So yeah, they probably had a little something to do with it. But that's been, the case for the past decade. Why at that time? And I think it was just a confluence of events where people were just sitting at home bored, and probably just like, oh hey, sports card content got huge, right? And you saw channels blowing up, and they're like, let me get into this. And I think you just had a lot of people like me, where it's like our kids are coming into an age where they get interested, and we're just like, oh, my gosh, I never could afford the 85 McGuire Olympic card. I'm going to totally go for that now, And when you see, capital goes to where it's treated the best, right? And so when you see a McGuire card go from, $10 to 50 to 200 to 300, people want in on that. And so it's just a confluence of all these events that, it ends poorly. But, again, when it's going on, man, it's exciting to watch.
Exactly. Don't you find it weird? Everyone wants to jump in when everything spikes up, and now when it's quiet, that's when the better opportunity is. You're a financial advisor, so you know the psychology.
Yeah, and that's the thing, the market psychology. When you see these spikes, I mean, you have to look at under the hood a little bit. It's like, all right, we're seeing, so Mike Trout, it was a $2,000 card and it got up to $10,000. And it's like, there's probably 5 people that accounted for those trades. It's like, you're going to run out of those buyers real fast. So it's like, what's the mindset of people getting in on that? They feel like they don't want to miss out, but it's like, how many of those cards are out there? And there's 5 of you that want them. And like, you're going to be on the wrong side of this at one point. Be patient and wait for that thing to come back. But yeah, I mean, everybody wants to, make that purchase that's so smart. And if you buy, and if it doubles or triples over the course of a couple of weeks, it's like, yeah, for that short period of time, for sure. But fooling their money soon parted or something, right?
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's go through some comments and
people watching me. I'm not used to this. All right, take me through it.
JMF Collectibles, so much hanky-panky to talk about. Yeah, we're definitely going to get into the hanky-panky. I posted this earlier. Blaze Sports, what's going on, man? One of my earlier subscribers, I do remember. Steve Splenda, I'm here for my hanky-panky to be pumped and dumped. Are you talking about your Kevin Durant cards?
I saw that comment in Flippin' Steve's stream. I think it was Steve. So pump that thing. Let's go.
Yeah, exactly. He's always pumping on IG, man.
Nice.
But speaking of the hanky-panky, so I'm sure you've been paying attention to the BBCE situation in the National and the Fleer 86.
That's wild.
Yeah, it's a wild. I mean, you could talk about it for a long time, but what are your thoughts on all of that?
First of all, sports card radio is living their best life right now. This is their wheelhouse. I mean, whatever you think of those guys, this is a masterclass in marketing. All right, just watch what they're doing and how they're handling this. It's like you want to explode. Just kind of follow their lead on how they handle these things. It's wild. But yeah, I mean, whenever someone says, I guarantee something, but they don't have, but in their original contract, like we guarantee nothing. It's like, that's kind of a problem here, I think. So I don't blame the guys on stage that saw the weird collation and stuff. Like in the moment, you're probably like, Card Collector 2 seemed like you raised an eyebrow, but you can't say anything at that point. I don't blame these guys for missing it or whatever. But it's like when these boxes were coming out, I mean, how many errors have they made this year? They've made a number of them. These are
two of them, right?
Yeah, I mean, that we know of. I mean, they were big time. And you're talking about an 86 Fleer box in the case of Pokemon. It's like, that's what you're here for. And so whatever their explanation is, whatever comes out of it, like the optics are bad, and optics matter. So this is not a good look at all. And hopefully this sparks some competition. You got to have competition on these things, force them to do better.
I'm just wondering who's qualified to, not grade these packs, but just examine these boxes. And then on top of it, PSA uses them for a part of the authentication process. And
yeah,
I don't know.
there's no college course on this. Not that college courses are the end all be all or anything like
Right,
that.
right.
But I mean, you would assume they'd have a ton of experience with it, but someone's always going to come up with a new thing, a new way around it, I guess. And so I'm not sure that we'll ever have like the final arbiter of, is this good or bad? Was this box legit? And so we
Yeah.
just kind of have to take it on face. And these things, I mean, you're going to have a hit on the prices, obviously, but I mean, at some point, do people just say, I'm just going to open the thing? I mean, you don't know anymore. People are just going to be so skittish. That's the end of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I know you mentioned something about Card Collector too. I think he responded to me actually, and
Okay.
he on one of his videos. I can't find that comment now. Maybe I'm looking the wrong video, but he just said that this pack was before his time,
Yeah,
and
for sure.
and some other people that are sophisticated didn't know about this. Someone that's older messaged me saying that I didn't know the sequence
Yeah,
been going on. So.
right.
Uh,
There's a collation. I've seen a number of those packs, opened online. And what was it like? You see, player X or whatever, that the next card is a Jordan, and that happens more often than not. But if you haven't seen that, and you see it like in the moment, I'm probably not thinking about that either. Just like, oh, this is kind of weird, a whole bunch in a row. What a coincidence! What a weird thing, Everything kind of, you put me in a few thousand people, and you're in a big auditorium. It's like everything else is out of mind. You just don't want to like spit all over yourself. Is kind of the goal, not picking out collation of packs at that point.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering. I mean, I don't buy too much of unopened boxes, especially since the Pokemon situation that
Yeah,
went down. I did buy some earlier on, but I'm just thinking just the sales on Golden. And I don't know if Golden made any statement on this. He did the last time during the Pokemon situation. He defended BBCE, unless he did on a live that I didn't see. But I'm just thinking, like you said, is just this going to be like the market crashes, then everyone forgets about it, and then they just go back into it.
yeah. So especially at the high end, I mean, the people with $100,000 to spend on this stuff. I mean, I don't see how they just automatically, how do they just trust it? How they just come back? And so that kind of caps your prices, and these things could really start to come down in price. I mean, it'll be interesting to see. Golden. I mean, they can just throw their hands and be like, "I'm a middleman. What do I know?"
Yeah, exactly.
They make their money off the middle. So that they had a comment at all, it's kind of like, why do you feel like you need to say anything?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if that would have legal ramification.
Yeah. I'll have to check out AIH Law. I assume that's your third channel, to see if there's legal
AIH
on
law.
that one. So we have sports, we have finance. There's probably law in there.
Yeah, amateur lawyer.
There you go. Perfect. Yeah.
Exactly. Let's look at some of the comments here. Steve says, haha, everyone hates KD. It's up to me to change the narrative, not him.
No one hates him. He's just a little out of sight, out of mind at the point. I think it's a smart play.
Yeah. I
I
think
mean,
with
it's not
KD,
long-term relevance.
yeah. Yeah, the thing with KD, he's a bit strange on social media. Have you seen him, or have you heard the stories? He comes up with these burner handles and then he responds to his fans or anything
No,
like
I haven't, but that sounds kind
that?
of funny at least.
Yeah, it sounds fun. And I find it quite interesting. He was buying close to the top last year, investing in
Yeah,
sports cards. So
right. There's so I mean, you've got people like that. I mean, they don't care. They just want in. I mean, the money's not really a thing for them. So, at a certain level, it becomes a thing for everybody. But for KD, if he's buying $50,000 cards or whatever, I don't think he really is caring about the timing on it. So, I mean, they follow the hype. I mean, who doesn't? We follow the herd. I mean,
exactly.
it's in the news flow. It's like, I got to get in. This is why it gets so much interest. I mean, people get really excited. I mean, really, AMC and and I'm trying to think of some other ones. It's like those were some of the hottest stocks. Like look at these companies. I'm trying to think what's the GameStop.
GameStop, yeah.
Yeah, and so they're going nuts. It's like, people, why didn't you care about this a year ago? So it's like, now it's just because it's in the news cycle. People are aware of it, and now they're on it. And so a lot of people get hurt, but guys like KD that buy a top is like, he doesn't give a shit. So
Yeah, exactly. I think it's though a good learning lesson. So whenever you
yeah.
see the media hyping something up, celebrities
Mhm.
getting in, that's
Yes.
probably not the best time to get in. I
Too
was
late.
doing videos about that. I was
Yes,
saying,
you
hey,
were. You were.
because Wall Street, their
Mhm.
titles on CNN and all over mainstream media saying, okay, everyone's getting in on this. Wall Street's getting
Yeah.
on this. And I'm like, okay,
By
that's
the
a
time
problem.
you hear about it, it's usually too late.
Too late.
And
That's
so
the
you,
time to sell, in my
yeah,
opinion.
so you, I mean, yeah, or start to take some off. And so this is what with cards, it's a little bit difficult. So I'll do my chart show, and what I'd really like to do is say buy, at the beginning of the season, buy 50 Aaron Judges, and then I would say start peeling off positions. But the reality is people are just going to buy like one, so it doesn't work the same. So sports cards are not stocks. um,
Yes, exactly.
you,
They're not
you can't
stocks. I
manage your
used
position
to,
because you're all in or all out for the most part. But yeah. So watching those things when people start to get in, that's when the mania starts to build, and then you start to sell on the way up, type thing. So, but yeah, no, I hear the chatter, and I can fortunately some of these you can get in early and win, but yeah, once you start to hear about a mainstream, it's like yeah, start looking for the exit.
exactly. Bob Boozle says, I can watch sports card radio cut pro wrestling promos all day.
Yeah, probably, man. I'm sure they'd be awesome, man. These guys are terrific,
Yeah,
marketing geniuses, man. It's just like everything that they do. It's like they've thought about this, they've thought it through, and they're two moves ahead of where you're at. So
yeah, exactly. Last year I was watching all sorts of sports card content. I was locked down at home,
Mhm.
and the algorithm never promoted them. I don't
Yeah.
know. Did you notice that?
No, not at all. Until they started talking shit, I didn't really notice them. So the algorithm would promote them. It was always the bigger channels.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I mean, that's how it works. I mean, from what I've heard, I have no experience with an algorithm and helping or anything like that. But from what I've heard, yeah, once you get to 10,000, 50,000, 100,000, I mean, you're going to get promoted. I mean, that's where YouTube a few years ago, I think they made kind of a mistake. I mean, they're huge, but if they made a mistake, that was kind of it, where the independent producers, they kind of ship those aside for clips from the major news sources, the major players. It's like that's where people want. That's where people are watching. That's what they want. It's like it's not necessarily the case, but
Yeah, I've noticed that, when I've gone a bit haywire, like those videos just go viral. So,
oh
like,
yeah. Well, then that's what you have to do. That's it's kind of the sports card radio thing. It's like you need to say something super controversial. You need to
commercial.
start calling people stuff. It's just like that's what sparks the interest. Few people are gonna get really pissed off, but you're gonna have a ton of people are like, I want more of this, and that's
Yeah, exactly. People
love
comment
or
and the
hate them.
algorithm goes, and then maybe you need to start talking some smack, and then
I think
you'll
so.
grow
Yeah,
your channel, man.
absolutely. He's not online anymore or whatever, so he's gay. Yeah, I hate to throw that out there. Sorry. Hopefully he's watching tonight. He's my good friend. I'm teasing.
Yeah,
I
I
know it's
know,
not.
I know, I
He's a
know you're
family
joking.
guy. I got a great kid, wonderful person or whatever. Yeah, that's the right you got to go. You just got throwing stuff out there, and you
Right,
know.
right, right. Babuzel AIH would have called out the hanky panky instantly.
And he did. Yeah, they call it hanky panky. He's on that. Come on now.
Let's see. Benji Bronk AIH Proud Boys are here. Babuzo, what are you proud of, Benji? Okay, Babuzo. Perhaps there's some non-cornball content that we just don't know about.
Oh yeah, but that's not what gets you views though.
Yeah,
So if
exactly.
you happen to call the top in the market and using card ladder, it's like that's not good enough. All right, it's cornball content apparently. So
Yeah. No, because I was, in February and March of last year, I was saying, hey, or I was bringing on people that I knew, gold and silver, and they
yeah.
see Benny Markets and they're saying, hey, it's a bubble here, bubble this. And some of those
Mhm.
videos got 200 views,
Yeah,
250. And
I did
it's
a
like,
I did a video on as the Jordan bubble popped, and this is when the PSA 8 was at like 24,000.
yeah,
Its high was 26,000. I'm like, is this the end of the market? This is running out of buyers, all that kind of stuff. 6 views. It's like, okay, well, those six
6
people,
views,
man,
that's
yeah, those
insane.
people made out like a bandit. Hopefully, I'm not sure my 6 viewers had a PSA Jordan at the time, but if they did, they did all right for themselves. So
Yeah, exactly. So I didn't get to see that video, but how did you what made you determine that? I mean, obviously, you're in markets, but did you
yeah,
use technical analysis? I mean, because
well,
I've seen your videos and you do technical analysis with
yeah,
using
it
card
kind of
ladder.
works with cards, and with that one, it doesn't really work. Just when you see things go parabolic, as soon as you start to, you'll have a few buyers, and fewer buyers, and then once you get to like one or two, you don't know that's the top, but the probability is like you're just running out of buyers at that point. And so that was kind of my thesis is like, the buying is so thin at this point. Maybe one person comes in and pays more, but it's like it can go higher, but it doesn't have to go higher with you, right? So on something like that, it's more luck than anything else. Just kind of seeing it's like at some point it has, maybe someone comes in and pays 50, and then you look stupid for saying, this is kind of the top, right? So it just takes one person to mess everything up. But on that one, it happened to work out where just that was kind of it right there. So that's when you look at a chart, just look at volume.
Volume, yeah,
I
that's
think that's a
smart.
big indicator. And when volume really starts to decline, it's a good signal of a sea change. So, and again, sometimes you'll get it pretty close to the turning point, but there's times where people just keep pushing it. It's like, well, that's at some point I'll be right, but
Right. So then on the opposite end, so I'm assuming that if the volume just increases like crazy and the prices are dropping of high in demand cards
yeah.
that are scarce, do you think
Mhm.
that's a buying opportunity?
Yeah,
I
I mean,
mean,
absolutely. So when you start to see these things come back, it's going to return to a level for the most part where there's been a lot of buying in the past. And so people have market memory. It's like I remember this card being at 300, and if the thing goes up to three or 4,000, at some point it's going to come back to where there was a lot of buying. It's like, all right, probably on probabilities, it's like, all right, this is where people are likely to step in. They remember that price, it was a good deal, and they're really happy they missed 2 or 3 thousand. And so you just look for those reference points where there's a lot of buying, at least in the past. I mean, people will remember that for the most part. Just psychologically, that's where they're going to come back in. So once you start to see a lot of buying come in, a lot of transactions, I mean, it's selling as well. So you never know for sure. But you can at least set up your levels and be like, all right, there's a lot of buying here. Below this, I got to be back out again. So again, that doesn't work, terribly well with sports cards. But with stocks and stuff like that, again, you can peel off some. But with sports cards, you're kind of in or out, so you're a little bit stuck on these things. So I would say with sports cards, at least, just put in what you're willing to lose and have fun with it.
exactly. All right, let's see this. Chris C. So I have a question. What would you do if Topps refused to honor a damage auto replacement after they said they would? Yes, the card is pricey.
AIH Law, go to that channel, go to AIH Law and see what he has to say there. So, I mean, did they refuse to honor it in writing? I mean, what's the value of the card? I mean, there's property rights there, but you might have to get someone else involved that knows a lot more about it.
Yeah, that's a good answer. I
It
mean,
might be.
I don't know if someone in customer service said something to you that they didn't know anything about, and then all of a
Did you
sudden,
record that conversation, or did you get a
exactly.
letter? And honestly, at this point, Topps is kind of like, we don't care for the
Yeah, the
most
Topps
part.
doesn't care.
They're done. You can see card quality and print runs or whatever. They're just they're out.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of that, I mean, we had our insurance agent saying that, oh, yeah, they're going to cover some waterproofing damage. But then we go to another person saying, no, they're not going to cover it. They're just going to cover maybe replacing some of the carpet and
Yeah.
mold. So it's just like stuff like that. I mean, it just depends.
Mm-hmm.
Like, did someone know what the hell they're talking about or not?
Yeah, exactly. Insurance companies are not there they're there to make money. I mean, they're going to
Exactly.
do the minimum they can, so you'll get different answers.
Exactly. All right, I always have trouble pronouncing your name. It's Junjua. Sorry if I'm
Yeah,
butchering your
last name
name,
H
buddy.
there, man. We just go with H. Hey, H.
Yep. So, what are your thoughts on PSA items on Golden Auctions, given that Collectors owns Golden Auctions and PSA?
They do a lot of things together. I think as long as people know that, then it's okay to have that relationship. But I'll be honest, man. I've never sent a card off for grading, and I've never used Golden Auctions, and so not my area of expertise. That's for sure.
So, you buy graded cards, I assume, or you just it's
If it's
all
a
raw?
good deal, yeah. So mostly, like as a collector, I'm buying like PSA 9 stuff, which is kind of like raw, but you know what you're getting at least to some extent. And so
Mm-hmm.
I'll buy a rated. If a graded card is kind of similar to what a raw card is going, I'll go that route. Otherwise, I'll do raw. I don't care. So I'm just putting this stuff away, have fun. My main collecting is Star Wars, and so cards are just like this little side thing that I enjoy with, and I'll put something away for the kids to have fun with.
One time. Let's say you have a Warren Buffett auto 101. Would you sell when he passes away or when the sports card market has another boom?
Passes away, man. There's not going to be any more of those printed. So
Yeah, exactly. I
that's
mean,
when all those things spike, right? You look at Stan Lee, look at anybody. As soon as a recent one is a Gopher fan. Marion Barber passed away suddenly. He was in his 30s, and that was just a
wait, the running back
yeah, yeah.
of
And
Tiki
so,
Barber?
no, Marion Barber. So not Tiki Arande. So
Wait, Marion Barber. I think he was on the Bears one time, right?
yes, he was. Yep,
Oh
Bears
yeah,
and
he
Cowboys.
fumbled.
Yeah, and so he was a Minnesota Golden
I didn't
Gopher.
even
So I was
know
always
that.
a fan. But when he passed away, his autographs, I mean, these were $15, $20 cards or whatever. Immediately went up to like 40 or 50. It's like, yeah, that's cards are all about relevance for the most part, right? Yeah, you need to be in the news cycle. You need to be relevant. You need to be in front of people. And he really wasn't, for a few years. But when he passed away, all of a sudden he's back in the news cycle. It sparks a lot of memories, and that's when people get in. And so probably the worst time to buy, a great time to sell. But keep in mind a lot of these things. I mean, they're all about relevance. Ron Soto, his card spiked on a trade. It's like, well, what did he do? It's like he got traded. And did he do anything special? It's like he's a special player and everything like that. So his cards were already out there, but that really sparked some demand because he was back in the news cycle. And he's off of Washington getting walked 20% of the time.
Yeah, I mean, I was reading this one book by this dude on IG, Khalil Randall. He sent me his book, and he said that when a player gets traded, maybe like Matt Stafford from a small market Detroit to LA, the card values may increase because now he's in a huge market. They have more money to spend, so that could be the other reason. And
yeah, there's going to be speculation about the shiny new toy. Are they going to have a different profile or anything? That Juan Soto was awesome before, right? What's going to change? Matt Stafford, I mean, he was a competent quarterback, and so even after the trade, I mean, the trade probably sparked something, but in the season, I remember looking at his price chart quite a bit, and it still took him to really perform well before I think people really got on board. But there was that pop after the initial thing, just because you're in the news cycle in front of people. Like, we'll take a shot on that. So you're hearing about that versus other things. So
indeed. All right. So Benji says this. Haven't heard of this, but I'll still read it. Will anyone do a video on some of these guys, sports card coaches? These are guys charging money for coaching and how to make money from cards.
Yeah, I think there's a guy that does pretty good hanky panky videos that might take that one on. So
I haven't heard of it. I mean, there's the coaches collectibles, but they do something else. They do a podcast where they're not charging. One of the dudes has his own business for health fitness, and I know the other guy,
sports Coach Cartel, right? Yeah,
Cartel. Yeah, that dude's cool.
Yeah, he streams straight up. I think people charging money, it's a grift, and they're just doing what they kind of get out. What value are they providing versus what else is out there? So
no, I don't think those two are doing that.
No, I don't think they are either.
Okay. Maybe someone else. I don't know who's charging.
Yeah, I'm just trying to say. I know there's a few sites out there. The first half of their video is just talking about their newsletter and buy and subscribe it and showing some of their picks. And it's kind of funny, like back in a couple of years ago when the market's going nuts, it's like, yeah, everybody's making money here. So let's see how you're doing now. Let's see what your picks are.
Exactly. I mean, there's people right now that are higher up in the sports card, you could call community, that used to sell their picks, but now they don't do it. But it's just quite interesting that I don't think people should do it because, and there's still one dude on YouTube that still does it. I don't agree with that because it's a thinly. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead. I was just going to say, what? If they're putting themselves out there doing that, and people are paying for it, good on them. If they can get people to pay for it, they're not forcing anybody to do anything. And if they feel like they're getting value from it, then then go for it. So it's not something I could ever do, but there's people that do it, and if it's working for them and people are cool with paying it, then all right, go after it. So
yeah, I would not. I wouldn't do it myself for sports cards. No way.
Yeah, I'm with you. We're just having fun here, entertainment. If I can help some people out, then that's cool by me. So
yeah, I'm trying to meet like-minded people through this, and
yeah,
try to take my mind away from the crazy things in our society.
Exactly. This is a nice diversion. So yeah,
exactly.
we leave all the flame throwing in regular life, and now we find it on YouTube. So
Yeah, exactly. It's flamethrower on YouTube.
it finds its way back, right?
Yeah, exactly. The hanky panky. All right, let's
Yeah.
read this. Sports and Heroes Collector. Did you hear about PWCC auctioning in 86 Fleer basketball box authenticated by BBCE? According to PWCC, the packs are authentic, but they could be from other boxes. What are your thoughts on that? It's just
Yeah, the market will process all available information, I think, and so as long as they're honest about this is a Franken-box, and they can say, listen, all the packs are unopened. I think the market can come up with a price for that, and then someone willingly pays it. But the thought process on that is like, well, what if it's you should have two Jordans in that box? What if those are the packs that are taken out or put in, or perhaps they're putting in more Jordan packs? I mean, those are all going to be inputs, and I think I think people will come up with a price for that eventually, and it probably isn't going to be what those boxes are recently going for. And I don't know what kind of confidence, but you're gonna have a lot of factors in there. It's like, are the Jordan packs taken out? BBCE, what does their name mean to me at this point here? And so you could see a serious adjustment in the price on that one. So I mean, personally, if I was in the market for that, the price would be well short of what they've been going for even in the last week or two.
no,
Yeah, it might be worth a shot, but not at the price we've seen recently.
yeah, not right now.
No, this is like the worst time to get rid of your 86
Yeah,
basketball
exactly.
Franken box.
Market's going down, and then you have
Exactly. Yep.
this
Yep.
breaking out
Yep.
twice on
Exactly. Yeah,
BBC.
you're in the
So,
news cycle for not the right reasons here. If you've got an 86 Fleer basketball box, now's not the time to dump that thing. I don't think.
all right. I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but someone asked, what are
Social
your thoughts on influencers trying to expand the
Yeah.
collector base by social media promotion on particular Star
Yeah.
Wars sites?
Yeah, absolutely. They're sharing it, and maybe they've got a motive of they want to sell it, but you know what? No one's forcing you to buy their stuff either. So, if they're trying to, what does any company do, right? They advertise. They advertise heavily if they want to get rid of stuff. I don't have a problem with influencers that want to throw their stuff on Instagram or whatever, showing their stuff. I mean, they're advertising. They're trying to sell something. It's like, well, who doesn't do that? So, as long as you're comfortable with what you're spending on something. I mean, go at it. So anybody wants to pimp it, it's like that's fine. That's what anybody does. Any company advertises, right? So hey, I'm a sucker for it, man. I've been buying Star Wars cards for a long time. I'm a huge fan. So the prices went up. I don't like it, but it's like there's more stuff available because people are searching through their boxes, putting in more out there. And it's like, all right, the price went up a bit, but there's a lot more variety as well. So I can find some of the stuff I've been looking for a while.
All right. Let's look at the next comment. Randy, he's here for the hankiest of the pankiest.
Yeah. It sounds like something a Randy guy would say. So that works for me.
There you go. All right. Chris C says, I was going to send some 80s wax to BBCE, but after the recent 86 Fleer box, I have to reconsider. Yep, that makes sense.
Yeah, reconsider is like the least you should do, Christy. Good call.
Yeah. Now, maybe we should switch gears a little bit.
Yeah.
Card Mover says, I wonder what Fanatics is going to do with the hobby.
We're seeing it, right?
Yeah. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I was mildly optimistic, right? I was like cautiously optimistic when the deals were announced. So Muds and Eisner, they had the huge capital raise, and so one of my videos, I'm like, all right, they're getting ready for something here. I think they're gonna make a run at some of the other sports cars thing. Apparently, they were raising it for defense because Fanatics was coming, and shortly after, Fanatics bought them all out. So they're trying to raise money to make a run to clinch the MLB license or whatever. And I didn't see the Fanatics thing coming. So when they came in, started buying everything, it's like, all right, maybe they're going to do something. And then what we've heard, since then is they're really they're interested in their product is you at this point. It's not cards. Topps product was always gum, and they're like, we want to sell our gum, we're going to throw in trading cards. And Fanatics is now, it's like, our product is you, we're going to attach trading cards to that. They want data collection at hobby shops, and then they're just going to expand this thing like crazy in a way we haven't really seen before. So what they've seen, you look at who they're throwing their hat in with some of the the backyard breaks, some of the other breakers that are a little bit more out there. It's like, you see what they're doing. This is all about marketing. The product is you, and we'll get some cool cards out of it. I'm just glad they're keeping Topps. It's like we're gonna get some Topps football, and we're gonna get Topps Topps baseball. Hopefully that doesn't change a whole lot. I'll be all right. but we have to accept the fact that that we're now the product. So
Yeah, I mean, if now we have Tops, and then do you think they're going to go after Panini?
absolutely. Yeah, I have no idea. But I can't imagine that they won't. I mean, at some point, I mean, they've got the license for all the major sports. I don't know what Panini does. I mean, they've done the unlicensing long enough with baseball, but now they can't even do it with players. They can't do player names or anything like that. So I don't know what choice Panini has at this point. So do they just hang on for the next year? I'm not quite sure how that's gonna play out, but I don't see how that doesn't end up with Panini just kind of going away, and the price just keeps going down the longer they wait. I think so. I
Yeah.
think they kind of have to, from what I understand, but I could be corrected on that one. But yeah, it doesn't look good for them. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think they have the UFC license, but
Right.
UFC isn't. I mean, I have a Khabib card, but that's about
Yeah.
it. Like two Khabib cards.
Yeah, yeah. As far as the major sports, yeah, I mean, I just think that that's about it. Tops is in a better position. They've got Star Wars, Garbage Pail Kids, and like 30% of their income comes from candy. So it's like, yeah, they can hang around.
I don't think though the candy the I don't think that's part of Fanatics. I
That's
think
what I'm
it's
saying is Tops can they can hang on by themselves because they have all these other revenue sources. I
okay,
don't think
gotcha.
Panini has a leg to stand on here.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
So
The
they make
private
those
equity group
sandwiches,
that
I
has
think. They
okay.
make the panini sandwiches. That's them, right? So other than that, I think they're kind of screwed. So
Yeah. I think they should have been the first ones to
yes.
aggressively reach out rather than Todd because then
the,
okay, they
the
still
first
have
ones to
the
sell are going to get the best price, typically. And as stubborn as they were, thinking they could hang on to this stuff, I think they really hurt themselves, perhaps. So
I mean they're printing like the Federal Reserve. That's what they're
yeah,
doing with
yeah,
cards.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, they're literally printing. I mean, the Federal Reserve again, they can only buy bonds, so they're doing what they can. All that $7 trillion deficit spending really helped them out with the
Yeah,
printing. But yeah, Panini is, oh my gosh, the Federal Reserve is probably looking at them like, I wish I was you right now. So
exactly. So speaking of the Federal Reserve again, so you made a comment and I was quite interested.
oh,
You mentioned Jekyll Island.
oh,
Okay,
right,
so
yeah, sure.
what do you know about Jekyll Island that the common guy doesn't know about in the US?
Yeah, well, I don't. Hopefully, the comic guy knows nothing about it. It's boring stuff here. But that was, that this was the what was it, after World War II? This was the major meeting point on Jekyll Island where the Federal
World War One,
Reserve's
before World War One.
World War One. Yeah, yeah. Sorry. Where they all got together, and just it's just it's dirty stuff. I mean, Federal Reserve, basically, we really started to try and do this several times in the 1800s, and it got shot down a few times, and then finally they got it to stick. And so they're just coming to all these nefarious agreements on how to control the people. I have to Here's what I would say: people have to understand that the Federal Reserve is about as federal as Federal Express. We handed over our money supply to a private company here, right? And that's a big problem. And so that's where Jekyll, the Jekyll Island meetings kind of came from, is it just this is where you came up with 2% inflation and things of that nature, which is a screw job. Every 24 years, your money is worth half as much. So they want control, and that's where it started.
The way that I describe it is some bankers engaged in the hanky panky at
Yeah.
Jekyll Island, and they
Yep.
colluded, and that's how the Federal Reserve was made. And they'll say,
Yeah.
"Oh no, it's Congress," and no, no, it went down in
Mhm.
Jekyll Island, and
Mhm.
I think that's how business operates.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to tie it into sports cards. I
Right.
think,
Yeah.
and I think that's how you can even say sports cars or all types of industries work. I think there's there's rules on collusion and all that, but
Mhm.
I think that's how sports cars work in the hierarchy. And I think
Yeah.
they're all buddies, and then they're colluding. They're not saying anything that goes wrong, with the BBCE thing that went down, and not just
Absolutely.
other scandals that
For
have gone
sure.
on.
And this is, yeah, you're right. It's business as usual. I remember, oh gosh, it was it 10, 15 years ago, Nike, they had this problem with track stars running, and like the soles of their shoes would like fall off, like the glue was bad. And there was a couple incidents in these major track meets where the shoes would like literally fall apart. And you had the other major producers, Reebok. No one said anything. They're just like, we're all in this together. We don't want to, what hurts them hurts us. And so the same
Yeah,
thing with sports
exactly.
cards. I mean, are they in like official cahoots? Probably not. Are they talking to each other? Oh yeah, for sure. They're sharing information. They're in the same industry. They want it to be healthy. There's enough room for all of them to grow. And so they have to work a little bit together at some level to make this happen. So, yeah, I mean, you look at the energy industry, those guys have conferences every year. I mean, why? They want their industry to be healthy. So it's not a bad thing for the most part. I mean, they're just strategizing. They've got a product, and everyone's better off if they kind of communicate to a little bit of an extent, not deeply or anything like that about what's going on. So
yeah. Chris C, we'll move on to more comments. Card movers, when has a monopoly ever cared? That's what Fanatics is. I think that's going to be the case.
Yeah, I think so too. They do have to care to some extent. They still have to put out a product that people want. So they have to care a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Bob Boozle says, I think the person submitting wax to be authenticated has more potential benefit than the person that buys the authenticated wax. Indeed. Will, oh, what's going on? Oh no, it's Chad.
Who's this guy? Jeez. Will's a good guy.
Yes, exactly.
Good supporter. Appreciate you, Will.
All right, let's go through some of these other contents. Will says, chances I'm buying nice sealed wax BBCE authenticated now. Negative 2.5 billion%.
Will's a guy that's got a fire collection, and he could be in the market for that stuff if he wanted. And so, yeah, this is, I think, the mindset of people that can do it. They're going to say, you know what? Now it's not happening at this point. Something's got to change here. And again, BBCE, like literally in their description, in their disclaimer, saying we don't guarantee this stuff. It's like, well, what is it? I heard someone say it's a Tommy Boy thing. It's like, well, if you stamp guaranteed on the box, it doesn't mean anything. You can have a guaranteed piece of shit in there. So it's like
right.
There's no value to there's no at this moment right now. There's no value to what they do.
Yeah. Chris says they refused to replace my WIT Junior Chrome Auto 99 after telling me they would. Yes, so not a fan of Tops. Okay.
Yeah, so I'd be pissed off too. There's no question about it.
Yeah, I'd be ticked off.
I don't know how they told you though. I mean, is it over $500? Is it in writing? If they said it on
exactly.
a verbal deal, then like that's what do you do?
Is it once again a person doesn't know what the hell they're talking about to you? Could be the case.
I've gotten expired redemptions but just not too much. It's like they don't feel like they're on the hook for anything. So
yeah, and then he responded later. They sent the same card back after making me wait 5 months. Okay,
that's junk. I wonder if a few years ago when they weren't on their way out, if it would have been different. It sounds like Fanatics is kind of stepping up, doing the right thing a bit, but maybe that's
after Sports Card Radio did that video and it got 15,000 views. They actually did something. So it's quite interesting.
Well, I mean, public perception. Chris, we're going to do our best here. How many people are watching right now? We're going to do our best. We can get 15,000 people to watch this, and
maybe send it to Sports Card Radio. Maybe they have the audience to make change
for sure.
But I did a video one time. I don't know if you saw it. So I was covering. Someone sent me as a tip, so it wasn't me that found it initially. So they had Zion Williamson cards, and they were like charging 10x over it. And I'm like,
I saw that video. Yeah.
You saw that video.
Yeah.
And then there were a bunch of those PSA 9s and 10s, whatever they were. And then a few days later, I think Josh Luber, he was lurking on my Instagram page because he liked one of my cards, which I thought was weird.
Yeah.
But then I think I saw no Zion Williamson PSA cards. There may have been one, but that was not, the ones that I highlighted in my video.
Right.
So it seemed like they do listen to a certain
I think they do. And I think in that instance, at least, I mean, they kind of don't care. I mean, the people that are looking for cards aren't going to Fanatics for it. People that are looking for a hat or a t-shirt or a present might see that and say, hey, cool card, not think twice. So they can kind of put that up there. They're not out anything by holding it, but maybe they can be like, oh, if someone buys it now, it's like, that's great. I mean, they're not out anything by holding it. So, I mean,
exactly.
They're not in tune with prices, and I don't think they care to be.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to transition into baseball with this comment, and we'll go through other comments as well, because you're the baseball guy, and I definitely wanted to pick your brain on that.
I love it, man. I have fun with it.
Yes. So, I thought I said something about Cubs, but okay, never mind. But we'll talk about that.
Oh,
The
one-time
way the
stop comment right here. Market shot up. You know what? Yeah, once people kind of forget about this, you think about the markets going parabolic in 2000, and then again here, it's like it's hard to put a date on it. But at some point, people will forget about it. There'll be the next big thing, and it will probably happen again. And all I can say is remember this time here and learn from it.
Okay. All right. So baseball, your
Yes,
expertise or
yes,
your
sir.
hobby.
Love
So
it.
right now we have a few couple good teams. I haven't watched in a week, but I've a lot of housework, so I haven't been
Sure.
watching, paying
Oh,
attention.
stuff to do,
But
man. That's fair.
what I was noticing, the Yankees have a strong team that I
Yeah.
noticed. The Houston Astros had a strong team,
Yeah.
and there may be a couple of teams here and there. So, and the Dodgers, you could put
Yeah.
in that category.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts right now? If the season were to end today and you had the playoffs, who would you bet money? With fake
Yeah.
money.
Right. So yes, theoretical. In the AL, you're right. The Yankees and the Astros are kind of your clubhouse leaders. Their playoff percentage. I mean, they're basically in the playoffs with what they're going and what they can probably do. The Blue Jays are right behind them, should make the playoffs as well. But as far as so, I'm looking at Fangraphs, like the World Series percentage. What are the chances of them winning the World Series? In the AL, they favor the Astros, and so you look at what Jordan is doing. The trade for Mancini, he's come out hot, and then you've got some pretty incredible pitching, led by Verlander. It's like then that's what you need. Yankees, I mean, obviously Aaron Judge, Garrett Cole is having a terrific season, and so I think you in the AL at least, those are your two horses there. The NL is I think where your World Series champion probably comes out of. So you mentioned the Dodgers, which are absolutely killing it, but you've got the Mets and the Braves that are. I don't think the Mets are my kind of my dark horse, I think, in this whole thing here. So you look at the year that Alonso and Lindor are having, and then you look at a shortened playoff series with DeGrom and Scherzer. It's like that's tough. That's a 1-2 punch that's going to be extremely tough to contend with. So I do like I don't know. The Mets have been just is for so long. They've just not done much. It's like you kind of got to pull for them, I think, at this point here. So yeah, the Dodgers. I mean, of course, they'll be there, at the end of the day. But
Yeah, the Mets. So that's quite interesting. So they're gonna have what, DeGrom. They're gonna have what, Syndergaard, right? And then
Scherzer,
Scherzer. Yeah, assuming that they're not hurt. I
Syndergaard, I
mean, that
think's
could
on the
be.
Phillies. Syndergaard, he went to the Angels, and I think he just get shipped to the Phillies. So I think
No,
we're at
okay. So
DeGrom and
yeah,
Scherzer for
maybe
sure.
I missed that up. Okay.
Diaz is having a season, to kind of close that out. But you look at the guys, McNeil has really started to heat up, and Lindor's having a terrific season. Pete Alonso, I mean, this is a top 5, first baseman type here. So they're, Diaz, Carlos Carrasco's been all right this year. Taijuan Walker's been all right. And so they've got a staff, but in a 5-game series, you only need a couple of those guys. So you go Scherzer, DeGrom. It's like, oh my gosh, there's 2 wins right there for the
Yeah,
most part.
1-2
Right? So,
dynamic. I mean, you're just thinking of
yep.
top dynamic pitchers. You go to
Yeah.
the Arizona not Cardinals, Diamondbacks. But
Right.
you go Randy Johnson, Kurt Schilling. That was a great
Yes.
1-2 punch.
Yep, and that's
Thinking
what
all
that's what you need there is especially in it's a different game. What can we do to win 3 games at first or whatever, but then you can start having these guys pitched on shortened so they'll start to rest them or whatever, but then they'll start putting them in shortened scenarios. But it's like if you have that 1-2 punch in the offense that's not insignificant, like that's pretty exciting stuff. And so yeah, the Braves, they won it last year. They've got some most of that same team is there. You have a healthy Acuna, who of course last year was addition by subtraction. I mean, as soon as he got hurt, they took off. So I mean, like he hurts them apparently. So Acuna's the worst ever. But yeah, you start to see that pitching come along strong. You look at a Spencer Strider, what he's doing this year. Michael Harris. I mean, can we get the guys to step up like they did last year when Eddie Rosario came over and just went absolutely nuts for the past couple of weeks? I mean, do they have that player to really carry him through? Who knows? But yeah, my guts just keeps telling me Mets, I think, over in the NL. So let's see, maybe see like Astros Mets or something like that. What a great matchup that would be. I think people outside of baseball would hate it. But I think for baseball fans, like this is fun. So
Yeah, it'd be two veteran managers, Buck
Yeah,
Showalter and then Dusty Baker. I mean, I remember Dusty Baker back in the day, 2003 to 2007 with the Cubs.
yeah,
I
you
mean,
had
it was the worst time to be a Cubs fan. I don't know how well you paid attention to the Cubs back then, but
oh, for sure, yes.
yeah,
Oh,
like
just
2000.
baseball in general, but yeah, it was brutal. And Dusty the Lizard, he's just I mean, just here's a promising rookie. Let's put him on the bench for 4 years. Like, come on, man.
He actually abused Mark Pryor and Kerry Wood,
I, I
and
I believe that Mark Pryor should have been a beast. Kerry Wood was a beast. Mark Pryor should have been. He had injuries and stuff, but I mean, gosh, if you look at his numbers those first couple of years, like, I mean,
it
this
was
guy's a beast.
amazing. Yeah,
Yes.
the Chicago Tribune did a story on Mark Pryor and how before he was injured, he had the best
Hmm.
like wind up and mechanics
He,
out there.
he threw so easy. I mean, when he wound up, I remember going. It was going to a Cubs game back then. He was warming up in the bullpen, and just seeing him throw, it's like, wow, he's just warming up, and the thing's going 95. It was amazing. So, yeah, I remember Tommy. He opened a pack, and my mom was complaining because it was short a card. I'm like, you got a patch card in there. You're going to be short a card or two. So she wrote it. It's my mom. She wrote a letter to Topps, anyways, and they sent him a Mark Pryor autograph. I'm like, actually, kid, this is kind of a cool card. I mean, he was a beast for a couple of years. It's not so much anymore, but at the time, this was a guy that people were all over. That's for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like Dusty Baker, there were some games I remember like Pryor had like consistently threw over 130 pitches. Kerry
Right.
Wood in one game, I swear he had 150 pitches. I don't know what manager would do that today, especially.
You wouldn't today unless it was like a Scherzer and someone that's
Yeah,
just gonna like fight you if you come to the mound and try and take him out. And
yeah.
that's one of the problems. So I've got my two oldest boys are in baseball. I coach their team, so they're 12 and 9. And there's such strict rules on how much you can use them pitching. I'm like, so we're raising these kids not to have arm strength for the most part. They're really protective. I mean, you can't do more than 40 pitches in a week or something like that. It's like, how are you supposed to build up your arm strength at this point? When you can tell when their motion changes, when they're starting to get hurt or tired or something like that. So you got to pay attention. But I'm like, you're just not going to have that arm strength that the older guys did. I mean, um, Roger Clemens throwing 130 pitches. Like, yeah, that's kind of an average outing here for him. So you don't have guys like that anymore.
Yeah, I was just thinking that how many pitchers now are going to get to 300? I mean, if
I don't think that's
they,
a thing. Yeah. So I do a series at the end of the year about Hall of Fame and like who's on the path.
yeah,
And these are like the major guys I'll spend money on, and I'll have fun with other players in the interim. But I think you have to change the metric. If you look at the average wins above replacement, that's been trending down for 100 years. And if you look at 300 wins, like that's not the bar anymore. 500 home runs may not be the bar for much longer. And so you have to kind of change your philosophy. Players are going to be relative to their peers, and I don't think you see a lot of this 500 home run stuff. I mean, guys, they're coming up a little bit later. They're not playing as long. You just don't have it. I mean, they don't have to. They've got 200 million in the bank by 35. Why not just be done and enjoy, enjoy what's left while you're still healthy?
yeah. I mean, I don't remember. I know you're talking about home runs, but like the last 300 win guy, was that Maddox? Or
Yeah,
was
I mean, I don't have it off the
Maddox?
top of my
Yeah, I don't
head
know
or
at the top of
something,
my
but
head.
yeah, I don't even know. But it's just like, if you expect, who's one of the best pitchers right now, Jacob DeGrom, he's 31 years old. What does he have? 78 wins.
Yeah.
It's like he's not going to sniff 150 wins or anything like that. So you look at Verlander, Scherzer, Kershaw. These guys are sitting, I think, in that 220 area. It's like, do they have 420 win seasons out of them? Five. It's like I don't see it. I don't know. I don't. And they've been pitching for a while. I'm not sure who comes along and does that. We just have to change our thinking a little bit. And so yeah, I mean, the same thing is we don't have guys that are pitching 7, 8 innings to even qualify for a win at this point. I mean, these guys go 5 or 6, and then you go right to the pen. So I mean, the wins are scarce. I mean, you don't see the 30-game winners anymore. You see 20, and that's kind of like your cap.
Yeah, it's just quite interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just wondering, I was just thinking, Pedro Martinez, he didn't have that many wins, right? He had 70, 180. I have to check that. I mean,
Right. Yeah, we can. Hey, I got you. So
you got you.
yeah,
Okay, you'll do the fact checking for that.
for sure. I'm curious as now that you brought it up here. So no, man, I love that name. 219, right? So
Oh, so
not
he
even
had 219. Oh, okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
right.
he was
So
dominant.
I mean, Pedro for what 98, 99. Prime Pedro is the best pitcher I've ever seen. Probably the best pitcher I'll ever see. Prime
Yeah.
Pedro was amazing. I mean, just untouchable. And yeah, so he obviously, no doubt Hall of Famer, but it's again, 300 wins is no longer the bar. I mean,
Yeah.
the most games he ever won was 23 in a season. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, so it isn't like Denny McClain, Bob Gibson winning 30 or anything like that. It's like you put up 20, that's kind of your number, and no one's pitching 20 win seasons for 15 years in a row. I think that those days are done. I think at this point. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So,
Prime Pedro, holy God, that's insane stuff.
yeah, that was like the
Walking one
Yankees
and a
Red
half per
Sox
game, strike
series.
count 13 plus. It's like, oh, and guys can do that for a couple of weeks. They can't do it for a season.
No. And then I saw, I think Will or Chris said 241 wins for Verlander. And I think he's 39 and he's
Yeah,
coming
yep,
off an injury. I mean, Verlander said he wants to be the Tom Brady of baseball before he got injured. I'm thinking, okay, you didn't win in the playoffs, but you had that one World Series win. Okay, fine. But
right.
in terms of longevity, I mean, I guess if he plays 4 or 5 years, he
Right.
could get to 300, but
Yeah, 60 wins, but I mean, you're still talking 10 wins seasons for the next 60. But I believe he could. I believe if he wanted to, he could. But it's like
yeah,
you got Kate Upton at home. What do you want to pitch for 5 more years for? What are you doing here, pal? So,
yeah,
yeah, that's a
exactly.
Hall of Famer. You look at like Scherzer and Greinke and Verlander, and it's just like it's like, yeah. I mean, I think that's the new level. You get up to that 240, 250 level. It's like you kind of did what you could, but it's going to be, he could be Tom Brady if he was able to pitch every day, right? It's like you could probably be Tom Brady. It's just it's a different animal. But I get what he's saying. And 6 more years, I'm not going to put it past him. He's got a repaired arm, and I mean, he keeps throwing so effectively. At some point, it goes away. But it's like I'm not going to guess as to when that happens. So
Yeah, I just still wonder if this is Houston's year or if Dusty Baker is gonna
it
choke like
feels
he always does.
it feels like it. Yeah, I think even Dusty at some point, it's just got to be like, all right, this is going well enough. I don't want to mess with it too much here. So they've just got so many things that are working for them. It's just like Dusty, man, let just cruise control at this point, buddy. So I don't know what kind of ego he has. Maybe he doesn't let that happen. So, but yeah, Verlander's. I mean, it's just like, yeah, at some point it doesn't work anymore. But I'm not going to be the one to guess those when it happens.
Yeah. All right, it's getting close to the 1 hour mark.
Oh yeah, it flew
Yeah, so
by, man. It flew by. I
yeah,
appreciate it.
yeah, it's awesome. But before I let you go, what are you looking to buy right now? Just for, I know you collect a lot.
For sure. Yeah, yeah. So right now, in the preseason for baseball is like when I do most of my buying. Prices are out of sight, out of mind, and so that's when I'll do most of my stuff. In season, I brought up, in case it came up, I brought up a few cards here, and I'm not organized, so I don't know how all that will work out. So the stuff like I buy right now, I don't buy a whole lot of cards in season. So right now, like with Soto's dip, I bought one that was kind of fun. It was eh, it was his rookie card, but it's like the lenticular, the 3D version. And so, it moves around and shows him swinging a little bit. And those were limited to like 279 or something. I always kind of wanted that one. I figure with his recent dips, like, yeah, it's a fun one to get. But now it's like I'm just having a ton of fun with like just buying my twins, So like some autograph cards, So these are the Topps Platinum that just came out, and you can get like Hall of Famers on card autographs. So so for me, it's like Tony Oliva and Burt Blyleven and Jim Cott. I'm just having fun with those. So right now it's like my silly season. I'll buy some Star Wars. I'll buy, the good old the Hanson brothers from Slapshot. There's a triple autograph
Handsome
card.
brothers.
Absolutely, man. So I'm just having fun buying weird stuff right now. A little bit of Star Wars, a lot of those goofball cards, a lot of like old time autographs that people are just kind of out of sight, out of mind. And then I think at the end of the season, I'll rerun my numbers. I'm buying a little bit of Garrett Cole. That's like a current player that I'm doing. But like in the off season, I'll run my numbers and I'll publish it. I'll put it out. I'll put my research out there. And that's when I'll kind of re-engage into buying some of the higher end cards of guys that are on that list. So I just, it's not like I expect the values to like never go down, but I figure they'll retain some level of value. So if I put in the work and, then I can, hopefully pick more winners than not. It's just, what is it? They call it the extra 2%, right? Just be a little bit more right than wrong. So that's what I try and do.
Exactly. I did
Yeah.
see this good comment here, and it said Sabathia was on track for 300 wins until his alcoholism got the best of him and his bad knees.
And Cookies. That dude is huge.
Cookies, yeah, his
Commander
weight. So that's
Cookies,
why he
right?
had
I
bad
think that's what
knees.
the CC stands for. So, I'm trying to remember if he had a PEDs or anything like that, if he had any of those accusations, because his numbers would indicate, and I think I think he might be a Hall guy here. He's certainly 250 wins, 66 wins above replacement. He ranks pretty high up there, and so if he doesn't have anything nefarious on his record, the booze didn't hurt him that much, I guess. But yeah, no, you're right. There's a market decline at his age 33, where he just kind of fell off a rock. And so if that's where it started, yeah, it sure didn't help him. He should be able to produce a few more years after that, but he did enough up until that point that maybe. But yeah, cookies and beer, kids, stay away from that.
Indeed, indeed. And
Yeah,
that should be your new initials, right?
I think so. Right,
Yeah,
cookies and beer, C&B Collectibles. Let's go.
exactly. Exactly. All right. So before I let you go, so where can people find you again?
Hey, C&T Collectibles on YouTube. So if you haven't yet, subscribe and smash that like button. And oh wait, that's yours. That's yours. I'll find something else. I don't want AH Law after me here. So yes, C&T Collectibles. See the what is the ampersand and T and collectibles. Me and my son will put out a couple of videos a week, mostly just talking some baseball, and we'll do a little bit of finance by accident at times. So
There you go. Thanks for
terrific.
coming on again, Chad.
Thanks so much for having me, pal. I appreciate it and have a great rest of the evening.
Yep. You too.
All right, man. Take care.